GRAILZ. As collectors, we all have them. And they can come in many forms. And I'm not talking about the one made a goo from Fight Zero, Swara. Especially now with tons of people onboarding into hobbies and collecting for a variety of reasons, both acceptable and bullshit. But any true collector is going to have that one thing that they can endlessly gush about for hours when some unsuspecting victim asks them out of politeness and has, no idea what the fuck they got themselves into. And sometimes that one key piece just happens to not be in their collection. Everyone's constantly chasing something, whether it's a relic of a time before you were a collector, or maybe you just weren't in the right place at the right time and missed out, or in my case, it's the one that I passed up on and regretted forever.
Until today.
I already got burned the last time I bulked on a figure based on the company making it. So in this last video, I talked a lot about Kemono and Soul Torobo and all kinds of other stuff that led me down this path of destroying my life trying to pursue art that I can't learn as an American. And while that's basically true, it's not the whole truth. You see, Kemono gave me a goal, a sort of ideal that I wanted to pursue and become a part of. But I didn't have a means or a method. And as that kid who kind of just sat in the corners at school and stared at other kids, I tried a lot of things in the past to sort of vent my creative energy. And after a while, I settled on manga as the thing I should do. Now, I wasn't painfully self-unaware. Lots of young aspiring artists fall into this trap of wanting to do manga or anime style. And I almost even questioned at the time if someone not Japanese or not from Japan could even do it right. But after the discovery of a manga book at my local high school library, I figured it might be possible. And around that time, I found one more thing that would be my final nudge off the cliff. I saw this meme and, yeah. Monster Musume. But seriously, who doesn't love Monster Musume? Or rather, who does? Because I think discussion on this series has almost completely ceased. And that would have been insane to think about back then, because Monster Musume was on the New York bestsellers list for manga when that was still a thing, beating out Attack on fucking Titan and Bleach. Except none of that is apparently true, because I guess Monster Musume is starting to make the rounds again on anime YouTube.
Monster Girls proceed to expose themselves.
Monster Girls were kind of a hot trend back then. You had stuff like Monster Girl Quest. You had the Monster Girl Encyclopedia. Tower Girls was another thing I vaguely remember at the time, but had no idea what it was actually supposed to be. And at the apex of it all was this manga. Monster Musume actually started out as a series of doujin porn comics made by series author Okayado, and then it just somehow got picked up for serialization. Okay. Manmusu is the story of one Kimito Kurusu, who suddenly has a Monster Girl exchange student dropped off at his house due to the mix-up of the government coordinator. That's cute. But oh, if I just choose to forget to pay my taxes one year, I get sent to Guantanamo Bay. However, unlike most of these types of stories, Kimito is forbidden from doing the dirty with his new roommate due to her status as an extra species ambassador, which serves as the main plot point that drives the story and the romantic tension forward. Eventually the cast fills out, the plot deepens, hilarity ensues. And there's a lot of reasons Manmusu kind of sticks with me, and it's not because of the sticky Dorito panties. It's an ecchi manga, but it's goated with the sauce. Oh fuck. What I mean is, it does its thing, and it does it well. It's fun and ecchi, and it explores a bit, but it doesn't cross the line into being, like, really creepy. Then there's also these weird little emotional moments that just kind of resonate with me for some reason. Story beats that really catch you off guard, because it's totally not what you would expect from this type of manga, and it just kind of juts out at you. Like this moment early on when they escape from a crowd into the Love Hotel, and after all the absurd shit that happens in the chapter, they just kind of ends up at this moment that it's just real. Or like when a certain character is about to be introduced and there's this weird somber exchange between the MC and the new girl. And this is the manga that has at least one titty come out per chapter, like it's some kind of government mandate. It's one thing that Okayato sensei does really well for some reason, again totally in spite of the subject matter. But I think the real reason why this manga is so successful and why it got to be so popular with an overseas audience, outside of the obvious stuff, is that it's just a friendly story. It's just trying to have a good time with some sex appeal, and it's got a good sense of humor about the whole thing. It's also welcoming in the sense that there's a lot of themes of exchange, Jesus Christ, and coming together to meet new people and see new things. I also think a lot of weebs, without realizing it, actually self-project onto the girls. Oh my fuck! Getting to have the Japan experience, since a lot of us want to go there for a variety of reasons and meet people and experience the culture. So this manga, and later the anime, was pretty much the thing that told me, hey, if you want to make an original story, do it like this. And it just became another guiding force for me, and the rest is history. Nah, I'm just shitting you. We still got to do the rest of the video. As far as Monster Musume goes today, it kind of sputtered out a bit. I think it suffered from being a bit ahead of the curve, that typical first to market problem where an innovative idea doesn't really get the traction it should, and then another thing comes along and steals its thunder. The manga is ongoing, but it's kind of slowed down a bit. He even canceled his other Monster Girl themed manga, 12 Beast. Unfortunately, that's kind of the case with a lot of mangaka that achieve serialization. Sometimes the author just breaks beyond the point of recovery, and that definitely translated over to the merch side as well. Looking at good old Amy, you can see a lot of the usual suspects, but when you get over to figures, it's garage kits as far as the eye can see. It seems like there were 2 planned figure releases that I could find, and half of these got scrapped or canceled, and I just have no idea why. Like, these look fine. What the fuck happened? Was there a nonary game I missed or something? There can be only one! And there is only one. It's the Miia figure by KonKonbini, which commanded and still commands completely asinine prices even before Chingus and Mingus. I remember going to Colossal Con in 2019, and I saw there at one of those really terrible scalper level Western convention figure vendors, she was sitting at a cool $800 US. Mamma mia, she is one expensive snick. Now for the initial releases, I was in college at the time, and I had a $30,000 rock hanging over my head. So buying her was something I wanted to do, but it was really, really hard to justify. And this was way before I started buying scales on a regular basis. I mostly stuck to Nendos, Figmas, Figuarts, prize figures, stuff that was slightly more reasonable for a college student living at home at the time. But the big kicker on why I passed was, at the time, no one had a lot of faith in this figure maker. KonKonbini had sort of a bad rap within the community from what I saw. Several mixed takes on whether or not this Miia figure would be any good. And if you look at some of their offerings from the time, it's really not hard to see why. With their bread and butter category being an absurd amount of the most overrated shonen I've ever experienced, the show figures, and a couple anime girl type figures with some mixed results. It seemed like a reasonable pass, especially since another figure maker could come along with a better offering. Remember, this was only about a year after the anime had aired, so it very well could be that a possible second season was on the way, and this was being made just to keep Monmusu in the zeitgeist. And me not being experienced with scales at the time, decided to play it safe and, not gamble my money away. This was at a time I was making $80 every 2 weeks working at a dollar store. So I passed. Bing bong, it's 2023. I have a house, I paid off my student loans, and I have a work from home job, and an office filled with more Japanese plastic than one man should probably ever have. And in the absence of a social life, one thing I do from time to time is hit up Amy's used section, just to see what's going on. Maybe I can add a thing or two to the monthly box depending on the price. Holy shit, there it is. And the price was absurd, but reasonable considering the rarity and cost of the figure. Not to mention the yen is in fucking clown world again. So I thunk and thunked and thunked and I thunked some more. I pondered for hours wondering if it was worth it and I could make it work. Especially now when I have a lot of money invested in other videos I'm working on, like thousands of dollars unironically, that is not a joke. And buying an absurdly expensive figure at this price was just not an idea that can be considered any kind of good or smart. But I thunked too hard because when I came back a few hours later, she was gone. And while it was okay, you know, it's not like money runs away if you don't spend it, I did feel a bit of a tinge of regret that maybe I missed out again. If I had acted a bit faster, I could have fulfilled some long forgotten promise to myself and made good with a younger me. And then the second one showed up, and the quality was listed as being way better. Now these are used items, but Amy ranks their items based on an incredibly strict scale. A lot of Japanese stores do that as well, and most of the time you get something with this scathing review and you get it and it looks perfectly fine, like you can't even tell what's wrong with it. However, this actually worked against me in this case because it caused a massive price spike. So I had a choice to make, and I had to make it fast. Either make an incredibly ill-advised purchase and give the wheel to Jesus, or pass and continue to wait for a better day if that even ever comes.
Jesus, take the wheel.
And I gotta say, I'm a little underwhelmed. I think even at the retail price, I'd be slightly disappointed. The box is a pretty standard figure box. It's got nice, colorful, bright designs all over it. Big picture window, you know, fun shapes. There is some slight scuffing on the windows though. The box was listed as B rank, but at the end of the day, that's what the box is for. It's not a super huge issue as long as it's not destroyed. And the rest of it happens to be in great shape. Moving on to Miia herself, she is small. Like really small snick. It's probably a cost management strategy because she's got a lot of material packed into a tight space. By weight and volume, this tail could potentially be a whole other figure. Maybe not a scale, more like an Ichiban Kuji trading figure or a Nendoroid, but still. The tail might be my favorite part of the figure. It's really well done, the sculpt is great, lots of good movement, and the glossy paint job really takes the center stage. It's actually distracting from looking at the rest of the figure. It doesn't help that material and paint job wise, a lot of the rest of the figure just seems kind of bland. The hair is made up of this matte, almost milky looking plastic, and it just looks really dull. It's got a slight gradation on it to give it some volume, but overall it just kind of lacks oomph. Same thing with her skin. It's painted and somewhat a bit darker than what you would see in the promo photos. It's not bad, but it's not great either. The paint job causes Mia's face to lack some definition, but it's also like the size of a Figma face, maybe a bit bigger. They did get her signature cheek scales in there fine, and the mouth looks okay, but everything else just kind of looks flat. Another really contentious point for me was her signature D hair clips. They're incredibly dull and flat looking. They look way more like aged copper than any kind of gold. It kind of scared me for a minute at first because I thought I might have fallen for a bootleg scam, which would be crazy since I bought this on Amy, but other people's pictures show it being similarly dull, so it might just be an overall issue with these figures. The outfit looks okay sculpt wise. The skirt looks pretty close to the promo photo, but the shirt is a bit more garish looking. The sculpt is okay, but they kind of fat fingered the airbrush a bit. The outfit is actually an interesting talking point with this figure because this figure is what's known as a forced cast off, meaning that you can undress her and see all the wonderful bits underneath.
Hey, Potty, I think I hit something. Clever. Bury your treasure above the surface. This is it.
But in order to do that, you have to destroy the clothing to remove it, as well as your investment. And while I fucking retch at people that treat their collections like stock options, I won't be destroying this figure for the review, especially since you can see most of the goods anyway if you just look at the right angles. If you're morbidly curious, here's a person that did do the cast off. Like the Dorito comes off and they didn't even sculpt underneath it, the cowards. If I'm gonna destroy my near irreplaceable figure that cost me an ungodly amount of money, at least give me the payoff. Looking overall at the figure again, I think the hair is absolutely the weakest point. She does have a typical seam line on her hair, but it's not the worst we've seen on this show. A better paint treatment could make this figure go a long way. It's such a simple blunder as well because the sculpt is really good looking. Good layering, good motion. Such a simple fuck up that could have been easily fixed. I get the idea that maybe they didn't want it to clash with the tail too much, but all it does is suck your attention away from the rest of her. Overall, for the retail price back then, I can see it kinda, but it's still pretty disappointing, especially when you consider that a couple years later, this figure would come out. This is the 1/8 scale Safantito. This is the 1/8 scale Safantito. This is the 1/8 scale Safantite. Fuck, I can't say it. I'm sorry. This is the 1/8 scale Safantite Nex figure from Monster Musume no Oisha-san, or Monster Girl Doctor for those that don't speak weeaboo. And this series is just a bootleg Monster Musume. But no, seriously, it's really shocking how much shit they just directly copied and pasted from Monster Musume. Both Miia and Safantite are basically the same character with almost the same motivations. There's an airheaded bird character, a chivalrous night horsewoman, an aloof spider lady, a shy cyclops, and your prototypical nice guy, of course. Everything else is just way less interesting to me though. It's a stock fantasy setting where the two main characters run around and do doctor shit, which kind of betrays one of the most charming points of Monster Musume, where fantasy creatures had to navigate modern settings and society. Now, the reason I bring this figure up is because it came out way later for a similar price point and is just massively better on the execution side. The company Medicos, who made her, seems to also be mired in merch for I read an encyclopedia once, the shonen. But also way more equipped to be making more stylized and, for lack of a better term, anime-looking figures. Now, I bought this figure, like I imagine most people did, as a cope, because Miia was too damn expensive. So when this came out, it just sort of became the de facto consolation prize for Monster Girl collectors. You got it because it was what you could get and not what you wanted. That and an android. It's like the foundations of a broken, dysfunctional marriage with a kid in the mix. Very Japanese. I would wager that very few, if anyone, bought this figure because they really liked Monster Girl Doctor. But to be totally fair, despite the source material being inferior in my personal opinion, it is a really nice figure. It's not without its own issues, but it's way bigger and overall just better done. And I really do like her. Lamias do seem to be one of my go-to archetypes for any non-Kemono adjacent Monster Girl settings. But maybe I should just get rid of this. I got the Miia. I won the Monster Girl dating game. I've got to recoup some of these wedding costs. I wonder if she's even worth anything. I bet she's just warming shelves in like Amy's and book-offs. Holy shit! 45,000 yen? Okay, never mind. Safantite can stay. This video now has a harem ending. But anyways, Miia. She's definitely not the best figure I own, not by a long shot. But for a niche character and a small figure maker with a shaky rep, it seems about on par with the projected expectations. And it's not like anything on the figure was downright broken or dysfunctional. She also stands out on pure subject matter alone, even with a slightly lackluster execution. For around what was about $150 US, she is an excellent conversation piece for any collector. But we didn't pay a retail price for Miia. Oh no, we did not. So what did I actually pay to get a Monster Musume Miia figure into my fold? Well, even the weak yen had enough of a bite to make this one really hurt, cause it cost me $618.78. Holy shit, that is a lot of money that would be useful in so many other situations. Caleb Hammer is going to break down my door and squeal at me like a little girl.
If you are negative in your checking account, you cannot afford a
$618 Monster Musume minifigure.
You cannot afford that.
While he gives me a financial score of fist up my asshole. But the real question is, was it worth it? And yeah, I kind of think it was. And that's kind of the funny thing about GRAILZ. They can compel us to do all kinds of stuff that's not smart or go to lengths that most people could never understand. While I definitely agree with most people that you shouldn't hurt yourself in the long run to do so, I think it's okay to have one insanely outlandish and ill-advised purchase in a great while. I would never ever recommend this figure for the price that I paid for it, or ever spend that much money on a figure like this ever again, but I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with dealing with the consequences of it all, because Monster Musume means a lot to me. I've said it time and time again that figures are special not because of the sum of their parts, it's the overall experience and representation of a passion or an idea. And for me, this figure is a reminder of a journey that I haven't finished yet, a monument to a future I have yet to actualize. Monster Musume is a goal that I strive for, to have my own manga or doujin someday that can be loved and mean something to other people. And I'm not the only one that feels this way about Musume. It's an important manga for a lot of people. People like poltfan.
I've been involved with the series since way back in the day, like the original comics that Okayato posted on Pixiv, which were then posted onto 4chan. That's how I kind of found the series. I was always interested in it, and then that was when I was very middling at Japanese, so I kind of only helped out with the translations just a little bit on those first Pixiv comics, and then I just kind of became a fixture-ish on the board. So I reached out, I asked him some questions. And like, that was the cool thing, was he was really responsive. So he would always follow up, he answered questions. And so it kind of started this back and forth where when new chapters would come out, I would ask him questions from myself and from the fans, and then he would follow up, and we kind of built up this kind of back and forth. It was just this back and forth where I kind of acted as a conduit for the English-speaking fans, because he doesn't speak any English. And so the way that I first got drawn in was he had actually done fans being drawn into the series before me, but they were mostly Japanese fans, and it was a little kind of like a bonus thing that he did. So obviously I struck a gym post selfie, and then like I was like, put me in, coach. But I made the caveat that was like, I only want to be in the manga if I can be next to Pult. That was like, he asked me, it was like, well, is a different Kobold okay? I said, no, no, definitely not. I want to be at the gym or something like that. And he was like, fine, yeah. So the first one that I had was at the, when Miia goes to work as a part-time trainer at the gym, and I freaked out, and everybody freaked out on the board, and it was a great time. And then it was just back and forth. I still, asked questions. I helped a bunch of people get drawn into the manga when he had other events, like, other get drawn into the manga events. Way later, I think it's chapter 64. There's an onsen scene, and then there's a single panel of me and Pult together, and then she's got a wedding ring, and like we're going off on a trip. I think it's to the States, and like that's my pinned tweet on Twitter, and like everybody freaked out about that because it's like the Y-san from Chiba thing. Yeah, I've just enjoyed all the getting to meet different people like you through the series basically, and then we do stuff like this where record our thoughts about it and talk about it, and it's always fun to share your interests with other people. So I hope that if you enjoy the ridiculous Monster Girl series, you continue to do so, and don't feel ashamed about it, because there's a million other people out there who like it too, and you don't have to be weird about it. Just get ripped at the gym and you could get away with anything.
Which brings me to the final reason why I personally love Monster Musume. It's because I can see the love inside. Oh, God. During my tenure at art school, I struggled a lot with what I wanted to achieve as an artist. I would try to explain it to people, and while being able to help was a complete long shot with no real chance of success, they couldn't even understand or barely sympathize with it. But even at some of my worst days at art school, I could pick up my copy of Musume and just sink into an inviting world and story that did understand me and was what I wanted. It's all these fun and entertaining things, and it's played completely straight. It's not snarky and self-aware. It doesn't disparage the audience, too much. It's got a good balance of ecchi shenanigans with wholesome, genuine romance at times, and he goes out of his way to include fans in a fun, exciting, and honestly inclusive way. And overall, I just highly recommend it.
読んでるってことと全く自慢にならない漫画ではありますけれども、よろしくな。
What I highly wouldn't recommend, though, is buying this figure at an aftermarket price. God damn it, for $600, this thing fucking sucks. Hey Sora, King Mickey says Riku's been sighted in the monster Musume world. I hear it's got horse pussy. Gorsh.